Hi, I'm Mike McMullen, President of the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank you for joining us for another one of our webinars. This one is going to be a really good one. Not that they all aren't, but this is one that I think you're going to want to be involved in, you're going to want to listen to, and you're going to want to share with all your friends that may have a business here in Carroll, because there's definitely some really good news coming. You probably have already heard about it, but some wonderful grant money that is there to apply for. So we're going to get into that topic real soon. I want to thank, first off, I want to say, as we start, make sure if you're on the call that you are muted. If you're not speaking, you should be muted. So if you would do that. I would like to thank our friends at CMC. Once again, they are helping us out with this. And this is being streamed. Actually, this is being presented through the Chamber and CMC and Carroll County Economic Development. And it's streaming live right now on channel 1086. That's their high def one. And it's also on their website and Facebook page and YouTube. So CMC is helping us out. At the end, this will be posted to their website and they'll share it with us and we'll get it up there too. So you'll be able to share this with anybody that you happen to know out there who could benefit from this grant. So a couple of quick rules of the road. Most of you have been doing Zoom now. You're all professionals. So the big thing is to keep yourself muted when you're not talking. Also to keep in mind that if we can see your face on the screen, we can see your face on the screen, which means if you stand up and you start moving around and distracting, it distracts others. So you can always stop your so that we can't actually see you. You go to the top right of your screen, there's three little dots, you click on that and it says stop video. So you can do that too. Other than that, we will be taking questions at the end of the actual webinar. So we're gonna have you go down to the bottom of your screen and click on chat. If you have any questions, you can simply type them in. I'll keep tabs of that. And we will then ask Miss Denise Beaver, who will be presenting to us today, what the answer is. And she's got all the answers today. Believe me, she's got them all. So a couple of quick announcements from the Chamber. We have some upcoming events I want to share with you. July 14th, we have another webinar. It'll be at 8:30 in the morning. And that's going to be given by our friends from M&T Bank. And basically it's going to deal with what you need to do to make sure that if you got the PPP grant, that it will be forgiven. So you want to be there for that one. July 23rd, we're going to do a virtual after-hour networking thing. It's going to be an actual trivia night. So we're going to try to have some fun and make Zoom something we can laugh with. And so you can certainly go to our website and register for that as well. August 18th in the morning, 8:30, we're going to have a commissioner's breakfast update. Normally, we'd meet face-to-face. We'd have a breakfast at one of our actual library branches. We're not doing that now, so we'll do this over Zoom. And that will be with Commissioner Weaver. August 27th is the Carroll Biz Challenge, our marquee event. That event will happen. It'll happen in one shape or another. My guess is we probably won't be able to sell a lot of tickets, if any, for people to sit in the audience, but we will have CMC there and we'll have the people that are going to pitch the five. We'll have the actual panel that will judge them and ask them questions, and it'll be streamed the same way that this is being streamed. So you'll be able to vote for whichever one you like as the audience choice winner, but that'll be August 27th. October 30th is our golf outing that we're going to have. We changed the date from July 10th to October 30th, and that will be at the Links of Chaladon. And if you happen to be interested in golfing, you can contact Miss Katie Townsley, because the Tech Council has their golf outing on July 31st. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm going to that one. So also, last but not least, Leadership Carroll. We're full up, but we will take any other applications because normally speaking, somebody may drop out and there'll be a space that could get backfilled. So those are the announcements I have from the Chamber. Now I'd like to turn things over and thank the folks that without whom we couldn't do all of these actual webinars that we're doing, and that is our friends at the Community Media Center. So I want to introduce you to Mr. Richard Turner, Executive Director of CMC. They're all yours, Richard.
Thanks very much, Mike. You know, the Chamber of Commerce Network is really important to us, and what you do for our services, connecting people in the community. And, I want to encourage anybody who's on the watching or on the call, if you're not a member, to go ahead and join, because you get great benefits from that. And when I saw the program first come out, this grants program come out from the county, I thought, we really need to get the information out to our community. And this is really what we do in terms of the community media center. So the first person I turned to was Mike and said, hey, you know what? We need to get this information out to our businesses. We should do another webinar. We've been doing these webinars with the chamber. And so we felt, this is what we do. So we really felt like we ought to partner with the chamber and other folks to get Department of Economic Development in here and a little bit spotlighted and talk about some of the good things that we do in the county. I also want to take a moment to introduce Teresa Bethune, who is our vice chair of our board of directors for the Community Media Center. So Teresa, I asked Teresa to just give a couple words out from our board.
Thanks, Richard. So first, I would say I'm really honored to be part of the Media Center board. One, it's an awesome board, very diverse, and we have lots of great ideas and are doing awesome things. The other part is that the Media Center really is that fabric that brings our community together. And when I reflect on where we've been over the last few months during the COVID-19 pandemic, I think that's become really obvious that Media Center has been able to facilitate virtual graduations and webinars and town hall meetings and things of that nature. That, yes, did they do some of it before? Sure. But on the scale that the Media Center is doing today, really unprecedented, and they've done an awesome job. Little request to our community, and that would be, we are trying to craft our new strategic plan. So the pandemic kind of pushed that to the side. And once we get a little bit further along, we'll be able to get back on that. And we're going to be looking for your input, because we want to find ways that we can continue fulfilling our commitment to the community, but also ways that we can better serve you as the business community or nonprofits. I would urge everyone to check us out at carrollmediacenter.org, whether it's to look at the services, join us, see the resources we offer, things that you can leverage for your business, or ways you can support us, because we are a not-for-profit and we really do need everyone's help in order to keep doing what we're doing. And then the last I would like to say is a big shout out to the chamber for really keeping everybody engaged throughout this, to the CMC team, because they've been working tirelessly, and of course to economic development, because they've also been working a lot of long hours to help us continue our businesses and stay just stay relevant and stay engaged. So thanks all, and I'll turn it back over.
Great, thanks, Teresa. I also want to thank the commissioners, because without their support, the CMC would not exist. So a great shout out to them and our continued support. We're excited about these grant opportunities, both for the business sector as well as for nonprofits. And I encourage any of our businesses or nonprofits who are looking to partner on marketing videos, other ways to extend your reach. Contact us, as Teresa was saying, at the media through our website. You also can reach out to me individually. So thanks for that. Thanks to the team, our production team, for getting together. They are really our superheroes, and I'm really blessed to have them as a team. So Mike encouraged you to shop local. I'm going to encourage you to watch local. So thanks very much, Mike. Turn it back to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so these are unprecedented times that we're going through. I mean, could anybody even have thought 6 months back, this is how we'd be meeting? We'd be looking on Zoom calls, and I look forward to them now. I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm tired of Zoom. Without Zoom, you can't see people right now, not like you could be before. So it's a difficult time for the small guy out there with his shop, his or her shop. They need our support. They need whatever we can do for them. And I want to thank our commissioners for what they've been able to do with a lot of different grants. We've had several grants that have gone through, and now we have this one, which seems to be like the largest one of all. And I really hope and pray that people aren't, and I see this, unfortunately, people are just kind of getting tired. Oh my gosh, so when are we going to get back to the norm? And I don't know that everybody out there, even though they've talked a lot about this specific grant, knows about this specific grant. So whatever you can do on your Facebook page, with emails that you send, with phone calls that you can make to let folks know help is on the way. And there's a lot of help out there right now that folks can tap into. So I want to turn this over for a second to Commissioner Rothstein, who is an absolute champion for the small business man and woman. And I want to thank you and the other commissioners for all that you're doing. So Commissioner Rothstein, we'll turn this over to you for a minute, okay?
Okay, Mike, I really appreciate it. Again, kudos to you and the Media Center, Richard, for all you're doing in helping us get the word out. There's no magic way of doing it. I think it is a mosaic, and we have to look at all the different pieces. Hope and prayer is important, but it will not get it done. What's going to get it done is our partnership, our pragmatic approaches in everything we do. It is unprecedented times. It's really tough, and some good things are happening from it. One is the partnerships that I see are growing. Two is the confidence I'm getting in wearing my reading glasses while talking to folks on Zoom. Three is looking at your interior for any designs that I have, as I have many honeydews that still are out there. So I'm looking at pictures and all these different things in houses, some outdoors, and it's tough. It's not making light of the challenging times. It's recognizing that we're in it. It's not putting our head in the sand. And that's what we're going to talk about in a few minutes. And Denise and the team are going to walk you through opportunities. We will not get anything done keeping our head in the sand. I want to give you a visualization of what I call resiliency, picking ourselves up by the bootstraps. It's an old Army term, but if you visualize a bookshelf, and in January of 2020, all the books were lined up perfect, and you had your goals set, and you're going into the next quarter of your business plan, and things were going in the right direction. And then all of a sudden, February, March, April, all the way through today and tomorrow, those books are falling down, not from you doing something wrong, from the world hitting us, pretty hard with a gut punch. So the books are falling down. The visualization and the end state is to get those books back up vertical. So how do we bring the bookends together and getting those books straight up? There's lots of ways we're going to do it. I do believe it's a holistic effort, a partnership we have with our federal government, and we're going to get into that in a second. With our state, the governor has provided 3 or 4 executive orders. Carroll County government has taken every one of them and has accepted them, and has requested, when we felt that time that it wasn't not time, that he didn't go far enough, we requested he take a look at going further, especially with our restaurants and the indoor seating and the capacity going into our stores. The partnership with the 8 municipalities, the partnership with the legislators, the partnership with the administration, knowing that the unemployment insurance was a complete debacle, and working with Secretary Robinson and Labor, and identifying how things can be done better, working with Commerce and the whole team. We still don't know what's going to happen with the schools or public schools. It's being worked out. The Board of Education is working very hard with our superintendent and the state. Colleges, it's tough. My son is a senior in college, and he just found out yesterday that his football season is canceled in the fall. That is a gut punch, as they are really a top-notch team. McDaniel College will not have fall sports. So the dynamics of what's going to happen with the schools is just starting to play out. The community is really where it comes down to, and that's really where I want to say my real appreciation to you, to our community, to our neighbors. We stood up a community organization against disasters. We're doing pop-up pantries where I feel horrible that folks need services that these pantries provide. But in the same breath, I feel so blessed that we're able to provide them because we have such a strong community. The county government is doing, I believe, the best we can with the information we have at this time. We passed a budget, which is very flat. The intent, in other words, it did not increase, it actually decreased operationally from last year. We expected to reopen in the fall to see what else we can do to better our community with the county government and our budget. With the money we had, we were able to apply close to $900,000, and I believe most of you know this, to provide in-house grants for small businesses, home-based businesses, sole proprietors, to achieve or to receive some dollars to give them a hand up, not a handout. And now the federal government is giving the county $29 million, a little over $29 million. Half of it goes to the health department. The other half goes to the county as it's affected by COVID-19 and this pandemic. What we're going to focus our attention on from here forward in the next 45 minutes is the $4 million that we, Carroll County, has taken from that federal funding and provided to our economic development team for their use to how they can apply it to our business community, our nonprofit community appropriately, again, to giving them a hand up. It is a grant program. It is more strict, and Denise will walk you through it, than the county in-house program because it's federal dollars that have to be accounted for the entire path from our receipt to giving it out. I think that's where I want to leave it. I do believe we're going to get through this together. I wish we all knew when that was going to be. I don't know. I always believe life is good and life will always be good and will continue to get better as we work together. So with that, let me hand it back over to Mike, and I think we're going to get to the meat of the show. So Mike.
Thank you, Commissioner. And you are right. So now let's turn things over to the person that you signed up for this webinar to hear, because she's got all the good news that's going to help everybody out in the community. And that's going to be Miss Denise Beaver, who's the Deputy Director of Carroll County Economic Development. Denise, they're all yours.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mike, and thank you, Richard, to the CMC and to the Chamber for hosting this webinar, as well as I'd like to thank the Carroll County Board of Commissioners for giving us the opportunity to put together the Carroll Rebound program. And Carroll Rebound really is a program that is designed to lift up and support Carroll County small businesses in the communities so that they can help to recover from the pandemic. As Commissioner Rothstein said, the monies have come from the United States Treasury, the federal government, to the state, and then to the county. And we were able to put together a Carroll Rebound to help support small businesses. And as Commissioner Rothstein said, that's also following the Carroll County Small Business Emergency Relief Program that we did in April and May, committing nearly $900,000 to support 720 small businesses in Carroll County with some emergency grants to help them get through those early days of the pandemic. So this program is really focused on the recovery of small businesses, as well as trying to revitalize them. And we chose to take a more forward-looking position with the program. And we realized everybody's really hurting, but we wanted to apply the monies to things that we thought would help revitalize and sustain small businesses so that they can survive this pandemic. So we entitled it Carroll Rebound, Recover, Revitalize, and Sustain. And we're hoping that this program will be able to benefit a lot of small businesses in Carroll County. And we really want you to help us get the word out about it through this program, as well as other opportunities that you have with interacting with small businesses that you interact with on a daily basis. Please let them know about the program and to apply. In order to stand up the program, we did do some focus groups. We did a business focus group and also a nonprofit focus group where we ask some people to participate with us in a Zoom call just like this to give us feedback on what things that they were looking for with a program like this. So we took a lot of those suggestions and we incorporated them in the program. And we did that in cooperation with the Carroll County Small Business Development Center, who was working diligently with a lot of companies to get them through the early days of applying for the emergency grants through the federal government, as well as the state grants and any other opportunities that were out there. So again, Carroll Rebound is going to help Carroll small businesses and nonprofits. Next slide, please. So as Commissioner Rothstein said, Carroll County secured some money through the federal government, and this is through the Coronavirus Relief Fund Plan. $4 million has been allocated to assist small businesses and nonprofits who've been impacted by the pandemic. And the other thing I want to point out is there was also some additional monies, $934,000, and that is going to be given to the Carroll County Volunteer Emergency Services Association. So those funds will be used to distribute to the 14 fire companies that are in Carroll County. So I don't want you to think that we forgot about them. There is additional monies that is allocated to the fire companies through the CC Visa organization. Next slide, please. So when we looked at the general business eligibility, one of the priorities of the board, as well as the Department of Economic Development, is really to focus on the Main Street businesses, because as Mike and I were talking the other day, I mean, they are the heart and soul of our communities. And we really wanted to be sure that, they were given a priority and a focus. So that is one of the main focuses will be on serving and providing the grants to restaurants and retail shops who were forced to close during the pandemic. Obviously, agricultural enterprises are very important to Carroll County, so we also wanted to include them. Professional services and technology companies. And as you know, Carroll County is growing a lot of small and large manufacturing organizations. So we wanted to include them, as well as tourism related venues. Tourism is a part of the Department of Economic Development, very important, and obviously has taken a tremendous hit with the COVID-19 pandemic, with the closing of many tourist venues and obviously hotels, motels, and agribusiness. So we wanted to include those. We did, as you can see, there are some ineligible businesses here, private and trade schools, faith-based organizations, home-based businesses, and independent contractors, including realtors, hairstylists, multi-level marketing type businesses. National and regional chains and publicly traded companies and franchises are ineligible for the grant. Next slide, please. So in order to qualify, obviously you have to be in business. We've established that prior to September 1st of 2019. We also need to be sure that all business entities are in good standing with the state of Maryland. And through the application process, you would be asked to provide a certificate of good standing. And one of the things we found out in our previous grant program is businesses didn't realize that they were not in good standing with the state. And unfortunately, that is one of the criteria that we are requesting, because in order to verify that a business is legitimate and viable and in good standing, we need to have that good standing certificate. So we're asking applicants to provide that certificate to us. We also wanted to be sure we were focusing on the Main Street businesses. And so we wanted to ask that the businesses have a Carroll County physical location in a commercial or industrial zone. Of course, the agriculture and tourism enterprises would be exempt from that, but all of the other businesses, we wanted to be sure that they were in a commercial or industrial zone. One of the other business qualifications, you can be a sole proprietor, but this has been a little bit of a point of confusion. We want to be sure that we're also awarding grants to companies that are job creators. So if you are a sole proprietor, we're asking that you have 2 full-time equivalent employees who are not owners or part owners of the business. And if you are a business, we also are requiring that you have 2 full-time employees at a minimum who are not owners or part owners, and a maximum of 50 50 employees in the organization, and that's defined as 30 hours a week. So we really want to be sure we're focusing on small businesses and small businesses that are job creators in brick and mortar locations. And of course, the other thing, you must be current on all taxes owed to Carroll County in the state of Maryland. So if, again, you're not in good standing with the state, that would be a reason for a denial of a grant. And also we're checking county taxes. So the tax bills, I believe, just went out. So be sure you are paying your taxes or that you're not in arrears with that, because that would be a disqualification for the grant opportunity. Next slide. So again, as I said, we wanted to really focus on providing funding. All the funding has to be related to the impact of COVID-19. That's a federal requirement. And there is a possibility that these grants would be, and most likely will happen, that the grants will be audited because they're federal dollars that come into the state and then to the county. And so we want to be sure that all of the grant monies are going to be utilized for business impacts from COVID-19. And so we were thinking about, again, looking at forward funding and what can we do is that information technology upgrades and e-commerce programs. We know some of the retail shops and even the restaurants, they might need to upgrade their systems, pivot to be able to offer e-commerce platforms. And also marketing is going to be very important for businesses to recapture customers and maybe hopefully get new customers. We thought employee training, in this whole new paradigm of work, employee training was going to be a particular need for companies. Everybody needs to be sure that their place is clean. So commercial cleaning is included in that eligible fund uses. Any professional services that businesses may have, equipment or vehicle expenses, and other COVID-19 or health-related expenses like personal protective equipment, supplies, the shields, the masks, gloves, whatever else that you might need to sustain your business in the new way of doing business, basically. We listed some ineligible fund uses, and mostly that's because a lot of companies were able to take advantage of the PPP program for wages to be able to supply monies to get them through these early months. We've also listed ineligible fund uses for lease and mortgage payments, insurance, and of course, expenses not related to the COVID-19 pandemic impacts. So those would be ineligible fund uses. So it's really focused on situational, where are we right now, but also a little bit future focused to help revitalize and sustain businesses. Next slide. So for the business grant fund amounts, actually, as the sole proprietor is up to $2,500. And again, the sole proprietors have to have 2 full-time employees who are not owners or part owners and have a physical location in a commercial or industrial zone. So of course, agriculture and tourism, I said, would be exempt from that zoning requirement. And if the business has 2 to 10 employees, it's up to $5,000. For 11 to 50 employees, it's up to $8,000 for the grant. And as part of the application, we're actually, having individuals walk through the required documentation would be, obviously a fully completed application, asking you to supply a certificate of good standing. And the application will walk you through, submitting all of these documents. We're asking you to provide a current Schedule C or the most equivalent documentation to demonstrate a financial loss due to COVID-19. Payroll reports are requested as well to support the employment requirement. And we are asking also, and this came out of the focus group, that individuals suggested we request information on other grants received. That doesn't mean that, you would be denied a Carroll Rebound grant, but it's just that we wanted to know what other grants you had applied for and received. If you have received other grants, including the Carroll County Small Business Emergency Grant, you still are able to apply and still could be awarded a Carroll Rebound Grant. That does not eliminate you from that award. But we are asking you that as part of the application. And then we are asking you to submit a budget for either proposed expenses that you might have for purchases that fit any of the eligible expense categories, or what the other thing that came out of the focus groups was people have already spent a lot of money, particularly the restaurants, to stand up their, that they can stand up their business for new ways of doing business, like they've spent money on tents or, paper menus or, whatever else they might have spent on. And those expenses do qualify, and we can go back to March 1st. So if you have those expenses, you're able to submit those receipts and they can be part of then a potential grant award that you can use those monies to get reimbursed for those expenses. So if you would get a grant and we would be in communication with you about that, then we would ask you to enter into a formal grant agreement with the Carroll County to use the funds by December 30th, 2020. We would also ask you to submit a W-9 form and also ask you to submit electronic funds transfer form so that we can transfer the grant monies to you electronically. So, and then we would require you also to keep all the documentation with regard to the grant in case there is a potential future audit. Next slide, please. So as was mentioned earlier, we are also one of the few counties actually in this state that are providing some of these monies that we've been given from the federal government to benefit Carroll County nonprofits. And as everyone knows, Carroll County nonprofits are very important in the community, and also, we have many of them. We're focusing on 501c3 nonprofits that are located in and serving Carroll County that are providing essential community services in priority areas of childcare, education, health, housing, nutrition, and safety. You can see some of the ineligible nonprofits here that would be churches and religious organizations, fraternal or civic organizations, homeowners associations, labor unions, any private or political foundations. And as I mentioned earlier, CC Visa will be handling some grant awards to the 14 Carroll County fire stations. Next slide, please. So again, with the nonprofit qualifications, very similar, must have been established prior to September 1st, 2019. Employ at least one full-time employee and a maximum of 50 employees, as defined as 30 hours a week, and be a nonprofit entity in good standing. And with the nonprofits, we are also asking them, to provide their 501c3 status and their documentation, as well as a current IRS 990 form, so that we can be sure they're registered and in good standing with the IRS. Payroll reports to support the employment, providing information on the other grants that they have been awarded, and again submitting budget documentation or receipts about what they intend to use the grant funds for. And then again, the nonprofit would also have to enter into a formal grant agreement with the county and agree to spend the funds by December 30th of 2020, submit a W-9 for any kind of reporting, as well as the electronic transfer fund, and retain information on the grant award. So that would be that. Next slide, please. And nonprofit grants would be distributed based on need up to $5,000. Next slide. Similar grant fund uses in terms of what we would like to see the grant monies used for in terms of information technology upgrades, some of the same things that we talked about before. You can see the list there of all of the eligible fund uses. And again, ineligible fund uses are similar to the business program as well. Next slide. So for complete grant eligibility application requirements and to apply, you go to carrollbiz.org/Carroll Rebound, and you can apply to the program through the website. I would encourage everyone to read the application carefully. It walks you through what documentation is required. If you don't know how to pull the reports from your accounting software, you can ask your accountant for the information and reports that you need, and they can assist you with that. And, be sure you submit all of the documentation, because otherwise that may disqualify you from receiving a grant. We would certainly like to see more people apply for the grants. I guess as of yesterday, we had combined applications of about 130. And so that's a little lower than what we had anticipated and expected to this point in time. And so, we're doing a lot to promote the program, and this program being one of them. We want to, be sure that all of you can help us with the promotion. You can be ambassadors for Carroll Rebound and letting people know about the program and sharing this information with them, sharing the website so that they can go to that. We also are working closely with the Carroll County Small Business Development Center, and Darren Payton is on the call here today, and he is available to help you look at other financing or funding opportunities, and those services are provided free, no cost counseling on an ongoing basis, not just during this time. But on an ongoing basis. So we would encourage you to reach out to the SBDC and the small businesses across the state. So that would be one thing. I want to thank the Chamber and also thank the CMC for hosting this webinar. And we certainly hope it helps to get more information out about Carroll Rebound. And we certainly hope more people apply to the program and that we're able to help everyone to recover from the pandemic. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? We have one chat that came up that is probably too long to read right now, but I think it deals with the aspect of disappointment that a business that doesn't have any employees can't apply for this. I'm assuming at this point there's probably no thoughts to change it at some point, right? Where if there's some money left on the from this grant, if not all of it is actually called on, if not all of it is applied, would there be a chance that it might be floated out to businesses that don't have any employees, but maybe sub out the work? They hire their own cleaners, they hire their own bookkeepers instead of having employees? Or is that just not something that this grant is going to engage in?
Not at this point. These are the requirements of the program as it stands today. I won't say never say never. When we had our emergency small business grant program, we did have some limitations on that early on. And again, we do that because there's a limited amount of funding. And so you have to target, it's just like any business. You got to target market, where do you want your limited amount of funding to go? And so, that was why we structured the program the way that we did. However, in the emergency small business grant program, we did end up making some revisions and issuing some other phases of the program where we opened up the criteria. And so certainly our intent is to spend and award the $4 million to help Carroll businesses and nonprofits. And so whatever way we can do that, we will work with the Board of Commissioners to, go back to them if we're finding that we're not getting the spend rate and the awards that we had hoped to get. We would probably go back to the board and say, here's where we are and what can we do to make sure that we can get this money into the hands of as many small businesses and nonprofits as possible.
Thank you very much. Okay,
and Mike, if I can just add, the Board of Commissioners, I believe, will be very receptive to the recommendations from our economic development team. It is my goal, personal goal, that we spend every dime of that $4 million and we continue to push the envelope in working these grants to get them into the hands of small business. We've built criterias, but those are not the laws. And criterias and regulations and things like that are made for exceptions. So we just have to be smart about it. Work with the economic development team on recommendations so they come to us on how we need to make the adjustments. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you very much. Real simple question. The deadline to submit is July 15th, correct? Which is the new tax day.
Correct. Yeah, July 15th, 5 p.m. So, please get the word out or, visit the website and apply and get your documentation in by then. I mean, we have started a preliminary review of the applications that we're receiving. But certainly once that deadline hits, we'll take a look at the whole of the application pool and start making some contacts to let people know that they've been awarded the grant.
Thank you. Tamar Osterman, who I have to say thank you to, a lot of the emails that we send out from the chamber with all the COVID updates come right from her. She is a lady in the know. She puts a little comment to everybody here that says a business can be designated as not in good standing for something relatively minor, like failure to file an annual report or designated resident agent. These can be fixed easily, so owners should look carefully for the reason in case they come up not in good standing. Everybody can always double check their own standing on the Maryland Business Express website, and she gives a link. I have another question here. Are there any reporting requirements? Are there any reporting requirements for the earlier $1,250 Carroll County Small Business COVID-19 Emergency Relief Grant Fund? So those loans are all gone now, aren't they? Or maybe any reporting requirements where they have to report that they got it. I'll let you answer that.
Yes, all grant money that would be issued by the county would require a W-9. And so that will be issued by the Industrial Development Authority. They will be sending out the W-9 forms. And so that would have to be reported on company taxes.
Okay. Oh, and Paige from Carroll County Economic Development says, with payroll information to verify full-time employment, please redact personal information like social security numbers. Makes sense. Gina's iPhone says, thank you for supporting Carroll County small business. And I don't know that I'm seeing any other questions, but just a comment. I mean, I know that this particular grant is not, you can't use it for wages. You can't use it for things that the other grants were, but that doesn't mean that as I'm, if the chamber were eligible, which we're not, but if we were paying bills, just make sure that, I mean, one bucket from another, right, at work. I mean, if you take the money you might have used for wages and use it for something, or for like marketing and use it for wages, you can apply for this to be reinstated with the money that you spent on marketing. So somebody is somewhat creative, they ought to be able to apply for this and they ought to be able to get it. So we have another question here. Lauren Seidler, as an essential business that provides computer support to home and businesses in Carroll County and the Baltimore metro area, might understand that we are not eligible as we are home-based and have one full-time employee and 2 full-time owners. Denise, you just muted yourself. You got to unmute yourself. Right.
That would be correct. Unfortunately, yeah, with the grant requirements as they are now in terms of the eligibility, you would not be eligible.
Are there any other questions? Oh, Aaron Bishop, for grant information, do you want us to attach the grants received as there is no area to upload?
I think the way the application is structured, it actually asks you to check a box for if you've applied or received. And if you've received, and then there's a drop down box that says how much you've received. So that's really all that's required. You don't have to give us documentation, to demonstrate that. You just have to report the amount.
Any other questions? I know it can be frustrating if you look at something like this and your business is not eligible for a grant. I'm sure it's difficult to sit down and figure out how do you disperse the money. There's so many different types of actual for-profit businesses, nonprofit businesses, people that live at home, people that have the Main Street shops. I mean, at the Chamber, because we're a 501c6, to be honest, we haven't been eligible for any grants of any nature whatsoever. We're not part of the government. We're not part of some larger actual U.S. chamber, Maryland chamber. We're our own freestanding 501c6 because we send letters that basically support bills in Annapolis or oppose bills in Annapolis that are good or bad for the business community. So because we lobby, we get hit as a 501c6, and we haven't been able to do any of those grants. And we just hired a brand new employee March 2nd, and then we go on shutdown mode on March 16th. So I can understand the frustration that a lot of folks feel. And we just got to keep on trying to support one another. So are there any?
If I can add, there's a couple of PSAs, public service announcements that Chris Swam and the county government team put together. They're like 30-second, 40-second snapshots of the Carroll Rebound. I challenge everyone on this, show today to find those and post those. I challenge everybody on the show today is to find these, this information that's been pushed out on lots of different venues and repost them, because I'm convinced we can get there in getting the money out. We're trying all different avenues. So that's just a challenge out there. And again, the commissioners will be receiving updates continuously. And if things need to be adjusted, we will look at those very carefully with a positive approach in making the appropriate adjustments. Mike, you said before, when in doubt, send it or mail it out, or what's
when in doubt? No. When in doubt, fill it out. That's what I would say.
Fill it out.
When in doubt, fill it out.
There you go. And there's a lot to be said for that. So thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike,
okay, so yes, I'm sorry.
If I could say something real quick. I know there is a lot of people who have sole proprietorships, who have home-based businesses, independent contractors. Even though you may not be eligible for this Carroll County Rebound, there is the federal programs. So if you have not applied for the economic injury disaster loan, the EIDL, you would be eligible for that. And that is up to $10,000 based on people you employ. And again, if you are a sole proprietor and it's only you are employed in your business. So you would count for that. It's not a whole lot of money, but you could get, it's $1,000 per employee. So yourself is included. And also with the Paycheck Protection Program, you are also eligible for that as a individual in your own business, as one person in your own business. So there are other means to actually get that. So just to let people know.
Thank you. And also I would ask you, if people, because it's hard to take all the notes in a call like this, if people wanted to touch base with you to find out some of those other grants, Darren, how could they do that? How would they reach out to you? Do you have a phone number? Would you direct them to your email?
Yeah, I would say the best way is to my email, and I'll just put that in the chat real quick.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. If there are no more questions, I think we will wrap this up. And I would again encourage you, even if you're looking at this and you're saying, oh man, I can't apply for this, keep in mind the other businesses here in Carroll. We're all in this together, and there could be somebody who's just too busy to even know about a webinar like this. They're not getting the emails. They're not looking at this. They might be discouraged, and this might help them in a very, very large way. So open your eyes to that. We've only got, what's today's date? Today's the 8th. We've only got like about a week left for them to apply. So please, it's not too late if you know somebody. And from what I understand, there is still money there that they could apply for, and it could help them in a really huge way. So thank you very much. Again, I'd ask everybody, wherever you possibly can, be kind to one another. These are tough times that we're going through. Stay safe, and have a wonderful day. And Denise, thank you again so much for giving us your time on this. And to the commissioners, thank you for making this happen. And to CMC, this is an amazing community that we're in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Okay.